Hello, viewers. This is Cynthia Michael from Screen News, bringing you a new podcast from my separate called the Project Rec Review. And like always, I'm gonna speak very loudly, very clearly, and very slowly, in case you don't understand me. Also, I'll try to do my best not to reach your heart during this art podcast recording as well, not to cause any REP actions as well. And finally, if you're under 18, this art podcast recording will retain to adult language. Once again, if you're under 18, this art podcast recording will contain some adult language if you're under 18. Now, if you're over 18, then it is good about this art podcast recording. Now, with this and anything else out the way, let's get to the latest episode of Gavin Infinity. So basically, we on Earth's land, assessing this Earth, and basically we see Gavin Jirai come across that Gavin on Earth's land where Cessna is from. So basically, we see Gavin. They're over in the Gavin forums. They're both over in the Gavin forums, and basically, So basically, Jirai said, I've been looking for you for a while throughout different dimensions. Oh yeah, well, and basically, that guy was being cocky until Cessna and his, and the director of the Galaxy Police on his side, Miss Aura, showed up and basically with a bunch of police officers and basically that must be that Death Gavin dude that Raisin told them about. So basically, but Raisin made it known to all the Gavins that he visited throughout the different dimensions about Death Gavin and whatnot, and so basically, the cops, so basically the police officers who accompanied Cessna and Aurora started to charge at. Started to charge at Death Gavin, but Death Gavin used his powers to take control of those cops and turn them against the others, turn them against Jirai, Armor, and Chestnut. Meanwhile, while that was going on. Back in the universe Alpha, where Raisin and his crew were on the space station, and basically it turns out that that Pat the Robot has passed his test to being almost being qualified to be a Gavin. So basically, Raisin, Dicey, and Aggie was kind of happy that Pat the Robot was. Pass a test to being qualified to be a Gavin very soon. So basically, Wasabi was happy for Pat the Robot, and basically, Raisin said, why you want to be a Gavin? And so basically, after seeing you and after that whole incident with Jirai, it got me thinking. So basically, it got me thinking that I could do really aspiring me after seeing you and Jirai in action, and therefore I could do more good, I could do more good as a Gavin, and also I could and plus I can help out more. I can help out more as a Gavin, while you go across dimensions and, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, Raisin was like, okay then, and basically, and that's what Aggie and Dicey reported to Raisin that they detected Death Gavin's entity sitting on energy coming from Earthlanda, where Cessna is from. So anyway, basically they hop aboard, the cosmic Gavarion ship, and basically the boss, the boss Karen, who was a dude, Karen told Raisin and his crew to, make sure you bring him back. Make sure if you have a chance to bring him into custody, you do so. So basically, they use the power up. So basically, the power of the power of raging emote energy, and plus the hyper dimension drive. They open a portal up to up to Earthlanda, and basically once they got to Earthlanda, Raisin and Aggie went down, and as a Dicey can't go. So basically every time that they do a dimension jump, Dicey always stays in the spaceship because there's a reason for that. Because going to if you're from a different dimension, so basically, going to a different dimension has an effect on the person's body, has an effect on a person's body. But since Aggie is an artificial being, and Raisin is not immune to the side effects of traveling to different dimensions, that he can't go down to, he can't leave the ship either because the side effects of that dimension they're in could fade him out of existence and whatnot. So anyway, Raisin shows up, and basically he saw that Jirai and Kunai, aka Jirai, and Setsuna, aka Boshida, was fighting against those cops that Gavin took control with his evil energy. So basically, Aggie asked, Aggie asked Arwa to come to the ship for safety, and Arwa was like, okay then. So basically, Raisin transport entrance gathers board and basically worked together with the others and took down the cops that were being controlled by Gavin. So anyway, after the cops were essentially taken down, subdued by Raisin and the others, then they turned their attention against Gavin. So basically, it was kind of like a sword fight between Gavin and the other Raging and the other Gavins and whatnot. So basically, pretty much, Raisin and the others got their ass beat by Gavin. By Gavin. So basically, and forced them to detransform while Daichi and the others watched from the ship. So basically, once Arwa came aboard the ship, Daichi was telling him that I know you're from this dimension, we're just afraid that if we have to, if we have to do a emergency jump to a different dimension, it's important that you stay on the ship, because of the dimensional side effects, because it might cause your body to fade and whatnot. So basically, Arwa said, all right, then I understand the situations and whatnot. So basically, I believe since Setsuna is an android, so basically it probably the whole dimension. If they do have to jump to a different dimension, if Setsuna goes aboard the ship, he's an android, so basically. He's an artificial being, so basically the whole dimensional shift will affect him, and Kunai is immune to different dimensional shifts as well and whatnot. So basically, Gavin, after he forced Raisin, Kunai, and Chester to detransform, he pointed his sword towards Raisin's face, and basically, and Raisin said, wow, what's the, started to question him, basically interrogate him, what's going on what's the being in the center of the galaxy? So basically, how you the being the so-called being at the center of the galaxy is connected? Basically. Basically, Rachel was telling him, was basically questioning him what he knows so far, and basically, so this guy said, so you've been, well, it seems like you've been, it seems like you've been a busy investigator as well. So basically, that's kind of de-transform as well. And basically, his name is Mosuki. I believe that's how you pronounce his name, Mosuki. Mosuki is like, so basically, Gavin was explaining the situation, about him being. He's supposed to be the predecessor of a, even though that Gato was his mentor and whatnot, but he is supposed to be the predecessor of Mizuki, aka formerly known as Gavin Destiny and whatnot. But while that was. While Raisin was questioning, Mizuki, we see Carol talking to the bigger head of the galaxy police, the main, Carrie is just another figure. Carrie is talking to his boss about Mizuki, formerly known as Gavin Destiny, now known as Death Gavin. He says that a while ago he was sent on a special assignment to find the center of their to find the center of their universe and whatnot. And basically, Karen was like, "Oh, I see." So basically, why that conversation was going on, then he cut back to what Raisin and Mizuki was talking to each other. So basically, the being I'm talking about, who is with me with this power, is called Makala. So basically, the being that he met in the center of the universe through that black hole is named Makala. And so basically, Makala believes that your rage, your special emotion, especially your rage, is gonna help us transcend many different universes and whatnot. So basically, Makala wants Raisin and his rage energy to help him basically breach, basically help with their plan to whatever plans they have to the different dimension universes and whatnot. So anyway. So basically, Raisin got up, and basically, Mizuki transformed into his Death Gavin form, and Raisin transformed into his Gavin Affinity form, and they started to fight each other and whatnot, and that's what it seemed like they were about to fight each other. But basically, Mizuki summoned his Arc Gavatar chip, and basically opened up a merge space where his ship appeared at, and basically, so basically, Raisin fought after him, and basically the others. Follow after Raisin, so basically, Daichi asked Cessna and Kuna to hop aboard the Gavantron ship, and basically the cosmic Gavantron ship, and basically chase after the Arc Gavantron ship, and basically, but on board, led him to this merc space, left him to the special merc space, base and whatnot, and basically, Mizuki used a special negative emoji to mobilize. Mm, to mobilize Raisin while he took care of the others, and basically they have a robot fight and whatnot. So basically the Gravitron Arc ship transformed, and the cosmic Gravitron ship transformed, and basically we had this mecha fight in this merc space base and whatnot, and basically. So basically, it turns out that he has his own weapon. So basically, it turns out that that Mizuki has his own weapon units for his space robot. And basically, he has his own drill unit and his own drill unit and saber unit to his robot, and got the upper hand because there was no weapon units for. There was no so basically the Gavan the Infinity Crew did not bring any weapon units to accompany them with their ship and whatnot. So basically, it seems like things were going bad and going very bad. So basically, and that's where Karen got special permission to summon all the weapon units that they had at their disposal, to help them out. So basically, the tables turned, and basically Tetsujin was piloting the robot. The Gavitron, was piloting the cosmic Gavitron robot, fighting against Death Gavan, Arc Gavitron the robot. So anyway. So basically, with the help of the 5 different weapon units, they was able to turn their tables against Death Gavan, and basically to make things even worse, Raisin started to not only channel the power, the remote energy of Rage, but he was also channeling the remote energy of his mentor Gato's emote gear. Emo gear as well, and basically Macro didn't say he could. Macro didn't say that he was able to channel different emote gear energies as well, and basically so basically Racing was able to break free, and basically using the tornado unit, they was able to destroy the Arc Gravitron Robo, but before the ship blew up, that Gavin was able to open a portal to Gavin Loomis's Earth Ida, to Earth Ida, where Gavin Loomis is from. So basically, and Racing chased after him and whatnot. Once the Gravitron ship exploded, and once the Gravitron Arc ship exploded, they was able to track Gavin's, they was able to track where they end up. They was able to track them to Gavin Loomis's Earth, and basically so they traveled to. So basically, they traveled to Gavin's Earth, to Gavin Loomis's Earth, and on the board, Gavin's Loomis's Earth, on the board Gavin's ship, on Gavin Loomis. Sorry, a little tongue-tied today. So basically, on board Gavin Loomis's ship, she detected the dimensional jump from Death Gavin and whatnot, and basically her and Kato went to go investigate that dimensional jump and whatnot. So anyway, so basically we see Raisin and Mizuki on the ground, de-transform, and they de-transform on the ground, they de-transform on the ground. And basically, Raging was able to get up, but Mizuki seemed like, he dispersed too much energy during that robot fight and whatnot. And basically, he was kind of wicked at the point. So basically, so basically, and Raging was still questioning him, and Luma showed up along with Kato, and they were just standing there watching, what the hell is going on. So anyway. So basically, and that's when Mizuki was as for your mentor Gato, let's just say it's just squeaky. Let's just say he kind of played a part about what he kind of played a part, before he, let's just say he might be in the board, of the macro's plan. So basically, he did play a part in the macro plan, and Raisin was and basically, Raging was about to arrest Mizuki, but out of nowhere, Michi Jirai tried to kill him, but tried to kill Mizuki, but Raging stopped him, and basically, so basically, Kiki, Gavan Loomis, and Keiko was just still standing there, not doing anything to try to stop tried to stop them and whatnot. So basically, since the others aboard the cosmic Gavarion ship couldn't stop Mizuki because couldn't get off the ship to try to stop Kunai from So basically, Daichi and the others, Daichi and the others being Setsuna Anwar couldn't get off the ship to try to stop him because of the mental shift side effects. But we don't know that for sure when it comes to Setsuna, because he is the android, so basically, he might not be affected by the dimensional shifts and whatnot, but we don't know that it's all. But anyway, blah blah blah. So basically, Kunai say that I have strict instructions to get ready to terminate Death Gavin by any means necessary. So basically, Rachel was was shocked to hear that. Everybody else was shocked to hear that, and basically, and that's when Mosuki, Mizuki, Death Gavin was able to channel some power being bet by some guy named Olaf, and basically used that power to escape, so he used that power to escape being captured or being killed by any, being captured by Raiden, and also being killed by Mizuki and whatnot. So basically, Kiki used her Tesla computer graphics to see she was able to track Death Gavin, but he was just gone with no energy trace no energy trace to try to track her and whatnot from her computer graphics. So anyway, after Rachel and Kuna had a little conversation, Kiki and Keiko was what the hell was going on here? So anyway, back back in the Alpha universe where Asian is from, his boss Karen was talking to the main head of the Galaxy Police about Karen was watching the whole thing from his headquarters, and basically about who is Olaf, Karen was asking his boss who is Olaf, and let's just say Olaf is a very personal interest that is a very important person's interest that done some that violate who is a very important I love tongue tie today. So basically, let's just say Olaf is a special person of interest that the Galaxy Police has been looking for, along with Jeff Gavin and whatnot. So basically, this episode ended with Carrot Force telling that Olaf is telling him that Olaf is a very special person of interest that the Galaxy that the Galaxy Police has been looking for ever since they sent Destiny on that special mission to the center of the universe and whatnot. And basically, that's how the episode ended on this note. So anyway, we gotta think about the latest episode of Gavin Infinity. Good, bad, or just okay. Please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, signing off for Scooby Views. 1.